In 2009, I watched Doctor Who for the first time. I remember my friend came over with a Series 2 DVD box set and we watched Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel. After it finished, I remember she turned to me and said, "So, what did you think?" And I remember I looked at her and I said, "Why the hell does anyone watch this trash?" Flash forward 10 years later, turns out it's me. I watched this trash. My experience with Doctor Who started slightly earlier than that though. I remember in 2008, my mum suggested I watch Torchwood, which looking back is a bit of an odd suggestion considering it had an episode about a sex gas monster. But at the time, my mum really wanted me to tell her about my sexuality because she knew for years that I was gay. It was her subtle way of saying, "Hey, we're totally cool if you're gay."
Gay rights, thank you!
But her heart was in the right place and I'm incredibly lucky to have a supportive family compared to other LGBT youth out there who just don't. Anyway, back to Torchwood. I was obsessed. I had season 1 on DVD and I watched every episode back to back to back on repeat. So my first experience with the Doctor was through these hints from Captain Jack about this mysterious person. I had no idea who the Doctor was. I heard of the name of Doctor Who before as in the show, but it wasn't really popular when I was a kid in Australia. When my friend told me it was a Doctor Who spin-off, I was at first cautious. I didn't want to be seen as a nerd because I was 14 and I wanted to be cool. Yet I finally gave in and watched the Cybermen 2-parter. I chose this one because I liked the Cyberwoman episode for some ungodly reason. So my first impression of Doctor Who was really, this is trash and I hate it. But since I was 14 and I didn't have much to do, I decided to watch all the David Tennant episodes. I remember my friend saying, he's actually really hot until like the final seasons when he gets really old. And looking back, I just think that's so weird that someone out there would think Doctor Who is hot. I was a pure David Tennant fan. I didn't want to hear anything about those other Doctor Whos because for me, it was only David Tennant. And if you called the Doctor Doctor Who, I'd be like, excuse me, his name is the Doctor. Oh my God, I was so lame. But I'm still lame now, but at least I'm not pedantic. When Matt Smith became the Doctor, that's where everything changed. I absolutely fell in love with the show. I didn't watch it on broadcast, but I watched it through the individual volume DVD sets for some reason. Each DVD only had like 3 or 4 episodes, and I would watch these on repeat. Then I watched Christopher Eccleston, and then I watched Paul McGann, and it just kept going. Ever since I was around 12, I wanted to become a filmmaker because I'm an idiot. So I had the stupid idea of combining my 2 passions to create Doctor Who fan films. To say they were shockingly bad is an understatement. But I learned a lot about filmmaking from creating these, the basis of how to write a script, organize a shoot, etc., stuff like that. You can't find these online, I took them down a few years ago. I mainly did this because I didn't want people to drag them out in 10 years and try to make me feel embarrassed by them. I am embarrassed by them, don't get me wrong. But I had some amazing times making them, running around saying dumb dialogue and asking my friends to dress up as monsters and stuff. It was ridiculous, but so much fun. I'd rather keep the memory of it being this crazy, funny time with my friends rather than a source of embarrassment. During this time, I started my long journey into classic Doctor Who, starting with the 5 Doctors, which I've seen countless times. I remember the Key to Time being one of the first things I ever saw as well, along with Remembrance of the Daleks and a few other Tom Baker stories. My obsession with the classic series really came from William Hartnell. I remember purchasing the beginning box set that had Unearthly Child, the Daleks, and the Edge of Destruction. I remember falling in love with these characters who were so central to the plot, and it wasn't just about the Doctor, it was an ensemble piece. And when I found out about the missing episodes, that's where it all started to change again. And I became obsessed. I did a questionable animation of the Daleks Master Plan and selected episodes afterwards. The only animations I really recommend would be the Abominable Snowmen 1, 3, and 4. I never got around to finishing the last 2 parts and I'm not sure if I ever will. They were a lot of fun whilst I did them, but they were a lot of work. And I found myself preferring the BBC animations or loose cannon reconstructions themselves. In 2014, I convinced my partner to watch all the Hartnell episodes with me. When I say all the Hartnell episodes, I mean missing episode reconstructions. Yeah, he sat through all of those. If that's not love, I don't know what is. I can't believe we actually did that together. That's just crazy. So I would say I've been a devoted First Doctor fan since 2014. No other Doctor has ever really come close, except for Peter Capaldi. I think there's something about the whole grandfather vibe that William Hartnell has. I lost my granddad when I was 13, and my memories of him really was just him sitting in his chair and laughing to himself, which I guess Hartnell kind of does. In 2015, the Doctor Who Festival came to Sydney, so me and my partner travelled there to go to attend. During a panel with Stephen Moffat, there were some incredibly rude people in the audience, and for some unknown reason, they didn't screen people's questions before they asked them. There was one person who got the mic and asked, "Do you know what a Moffat moment is?" And Stephen replied, no. And she said something on the line of like, "When the writing goes bad." There were a few boos in the audience, but overall it was really, really nasty and there was a really horrible vibe. Like, it might not sound that bad when I tell you right now, but like when you were there, it was really mean. Like, you can have your opinions online, like I sure do, but I would never go up to a BAFTA award-winning writer, a person at the time who was running 2 of the flagship BBC shows, and say something so rude to them. We left the convention straight after and I was just in a foul mood. I was incredibly embarrassed and confused why someone would pay like $500 plus for a VIP ticket just to insult someone. Like, who is that bitter? I kind of distanced myself from Doctor Who for a few years. Not the show, just the fans. I wasn't really interested in talking to a fan at all after that. It was just so much negativity and it just wasn't really worth it. But that kind of all changed when I made a K9 & Company title recreation. It got quite a few views, but it was mostly talked about on Twitter. I didn't really use my Twitter account at the time, but I started using it to see what people were saying. But through Twitter, I've met a lot of great people and my love for Doctor Who and its fan base kind of came back. Even though there's negativity at points, most of the time it's pretty positive. And unlike a Doctor Who convention, you can block and mute people. Also, my YouTube channel is coming together for the first time ever, and that's really due to the people on Twitter. So, that's where we're at today. This video is kind of a once-off. I'm not really a vlogger. I just wanted to share my Doctor Who story and explain why I love this show. Because the story of Doctor Who isn't just confined to its television show, it's part of a wider community thanks to fans, fan-made content, and so much more. What was your first Doctor Who story? Did you hate it like me? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Doctor Who content. So what? No wheel in space animation?